And so I usually like to tell a Jewish joke at this time. And I told the one about the reporter last time I was here a couple years ago, so I better not do that one again, because somebody's probably heard it. So I'll tell a few other Jewish jokes, and you'll get a little introduction to Jewish culture at the same time. You know, when Jewish people came over to the United States from Eastern Europe, we went through Ellis Island, right? And often our names got changed. You know, my Ukrainian Jewish great-grandparents, my grandfather was named Zolotushka, okay? But his sons here in America were the Silver Boys, the Silvers. Now, how did the name Zolotushka get changed to Silver? Well, I've asked around a number of people, and I even asked the Ukrainian girl, and apparently Zolotushka means silver, something like that. She wasn't even sure what Zolotushka meant. But anyway, the name got changed to Silver. Okay, that's the background of this joke. Happened all the time. Yehuda Tzvi Windwear arrived in Ellis Island and asked his friend, what would be a good American name for me? I want to be Jewish, you know, but more American. His friend replied, Sam Cohen. That's a good Jewish American name. Yehuda Tzvi began his long walk up a massive flight of stairs leading to the immigration office. With each step, he said, Sam Cohen, Sam Cohen, in an earnest effort to learn his new name. When he finished carrying his luggage to the top of the flight, he was winded and tired. A large immigration officer caught Yehuda Tzvi off guard when he said, name, in a booming voice. Flustered, Yehuda Tzvi answered, Schoin Fargeshin, which means, I already forgot in Yiddish. The immigration officer replied, Sean Ferguson, welcome to the United States of America. Okay, that's how his name got changed. A good Jewish name, Ferguson, right? Okay. We all have our wine now? We're all set? Okay. The second ceremony, the cup of thanksgiving, sets the time aside for special use. It sanctifies the evening. And you folks are usually follow the practice of sanctifying the evening or your meal by saying grace, right? Well, this is the Jewish version of grace. We're going to set aside our evening tonight for sacred use, okay? Now, Jesus also set aside the evening of the Last Supper for special use in Luke 22, verses 14 through 18. When the hour came, Jesus and his apostles reclined at the table, and he said to them, I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I will not eat it again until it finds fulfillment in the kingdom of God. After taking the cup, he gave thanks. So we know it's the cup of thanksgiving. And he said, take this and divide it among you. For I tell you, I will not drink again from the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God comes. And the blessing he uttered, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine. So drink your first toast of thanksgiving to God. At this point, we move to the third ceremony, the first hand washing. There's no traditional blessing for this particular ceremony. What we do at this time is we ritually cleanse our hands to prepare to eat the ceremonial foods. You know, we ate with our hands in the first century, and so they needed to be ritually cleansed. Now, before you, on the Passover table, there should be 2 finger bowls. What I want you to do is just find the finger bowl closest to you and just dip your fingers in the finger bowl, get them nice and wet, rub them together, get them nice and clean, and then on your right you will find 2 paper towels or 2 napkins. Use one of those paper towels or napkins to dry your hands, okay? So let's go ahead and cleanse our hands and prepare for the ceremonial foods. Now, Jesus participated in this ceremony. It's recorded for us in John 13, verses 1 through 11. It was just before the Passover feast. Jesus knew that the time had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he now showed them the full extent of his love. So note that. This is a demonstration of the full extent of God's love. The evening meal was being served, and the devil had already prompted Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, to betray Jesus. Key word, that falls throughout the first half of the Seder. Betrayal, noted here. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God, so he got up from the meal. So at this place, Jesus rises from his place at the head of the table, and he moves over to the uncovered portion of the table. Well, this didn't surprise the disciples one little bit. I mean, after all, how many Seders had they been to? Of course, this was the third ceremony. This is what they expected him to do. But what he did from this point on surprised them very much. So he got up from the meal, and he took off his outer clothing, and he wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin, and he began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter. Well, Peter gets this figured out mighty fast. The master, the rabbi, is about to wash his feet. Unthinkable, unheard of, that the rabbi would lower himself to do a job fit for a slave. Peter's surprise echoes through his response. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet? The most unclean part of my body? You're going to touch that?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you will never wash my feet. I will never let you humiliate yourself." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you will have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." "Well, if you're going to do it, do something honorable. Not my feet, please." Okay? Jesus answered, I'm sure with a smile, "A person who has had a bath needs only to wash his feet. His whole body is clean. And you are clean, though not every one of you. For he knew who was going to betray him. That's why he said, not everyone was clean." So after having this good Jewish argument with Peter and convincing him that this break of tradition was kosher, Jesus now moves around the table, washing the feet of each disciple in turn, one by one, including the feet of Judas Iscariot, the one who was unclean, the one who would betray him. Well, this is the full extent of God's love. Remember? This is a demonstration of the full extent of God's love, that he would come to planet Earth and he would serve mankind to become our substitutionary sacrifice, even for those who would betray him. Romans 5, 7, and 8 says, "Perhaps for a good man someone would die. But God demonstrates his love toward us that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us." So this is the full expression of God's love. He's willing to serve even sinful men. And that's why he loves, that's how much he loves you and me. So after washing the disciples' feet, just 1 second. At this point, Jesus has used the fact, taken advantage of the fact that the disciples were unwilling to humble themselves and do a job fit for a slave, to teach two very important lessons. First of all, he taught the lesson that the Son of Man did not come to be served, but rather to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. And secondly, he taught us by example, if we want to be great in the kingdom of God, we must be willing to become the servant of all. So after washing the disciples' feet, Jesus took off the towel, put on his outer clothes, and returned to his place at the head of the table. And then he moved on to the fourth ceremony of the Passover, the dipping of the parsley. Now, on your Passover Seder plate in front of you, you've got a little mini Seder plate. You've got a little bowl of salt water that we've imported directly from the Red Sea. I should say the Dead Sea for us.